Alright, what is up, guys? I have been playing a lot of Genesys format again, been trying to get back into the swing of things, been alternating a week of Genesys and a week of Edison back and forth, and I have a lot of really cool decks that I want to show off. Some of these are very competitive, very strong, and some of them are a little bit more mid-tier, but they are some of my favorite strategies, and there are several of them I want to go through, so I wanted to show you guys a little bit of a synchro extravaganza this time. So I'm going to be going through several decks that are synchro-based strategies and kind of talking about the pros and cons with them, and just kind of what I've been experimenting with and playing in Genesys lately. So I updated this deck. This is the Punk Psychic deck. This has been one of the better decks for Genesys format since the inception of Genesys. It has had numerous cards get hit in terms of points, and this deck was mainly piloted by my friend who quit Yu-Gi-Oh! A long time ago, sold off the majority of his collection, but then he will play with me as long as I supply cards. And because I have a large collection, that's pretty easy to facilitate. So if we're playing Edison or Genesys, he will play as long as he can borrow a deck. And he borrowed this deck and had some decent success with it. So let's go ahead and get into it. I don't know if this list is at all standard. I didn't really look at any other lists. I updated this from whatever my previous build was and tried to adjust this for the modern current points list as of April of 2026. And some of the Punk cards have had their points increase. So starting off, we're only playing one Rising Scale, and I probably would play more if I had more, but you do get to search this over your combo pretty easily, although it is a fantastic starter for Punk. So other decks that play Punk in Genesys, such as the Zombie Synchro deck that I want to show off, play 3 of this. This one only plays 1 right now, I guess, to cut total quantity of cards. But if I got more copies of this, I would probably experiment in playing more copies of this and fewer of some of the other Psychic guys. But just 1 Rising Scale for now. Triple Z Amun, the other good Punk starter. And if you want to do the really high roll combo with this deck, which you do want to do if you can help it, you don't want to normal summon this. You actually want to normal summon one of the other Psychic monsters and find a way to special summon this. And I'll talk about that when we get to it. But you know the drill. You pay 600, you add a Punk monster. It usually gets you to Foxy Tune, and then we have the 3 Foxy Tune as well. It pitches itself to summon Deer Note from the deck, and then you synchro for level 8, and the Deer Note revives the Foxy Tune, so you have 2 level 8 bodies. Ogre Dance is basically just a searcher. It can search out the Xiamen mainly. We have the 1 Deer Note, like I mentioned, which is part of the combo, and then the 1 Wagon, which is pretty easy to get access to and lets us search the trap card for this strategy. So that's the Punk package. It's pretty standard. There are other good Punk cards that we don't really have room for, but it's all we really need. So onto the Psychics, we play the 1 Mind Master. So he's only 1 point. Oh, I forgot to mention that Foxy Tune is 7 points apiece, but that's, I think, pretty reasonable for how good of a combo enabler it is. This guy is only 1 point, and he's been banned in the TCG for a very long time, but only at 1 point here, just, I guess, to avoid FTKs. But it is really cool that you get to sort of pivot this guy plus any other body into any other body you're missing from the deck that he can special summon, but has not been nearly as overpowered as I was expecting. But for 1 point, I do say it's probably worth it to go ahead and play Mind Master, one of the most powerful Psychic monsters in the game. And now we have these new generic Psychics from Dual Advance from last year. We have 3 Mind Procedure. So this guy can search a normal quick play spell that says Teleport in the name, and he can also be treated as a tuner or a non-tuner for a Synchro Summon, which does come up a lot. My favorite one of these is this one, Serene Psychic Girl. So she is a level 2 tuner that you can banish a card from your hand to special summon a level 4 lower Psychic from your deck. And if you normal this and special Xiamen out of your deck with this effect, you are going off. This is probably the really good normal summon that you want to see in this deck. And you banishing a guy out of your hand is not necessarily a bad thing at all, because one of the gimmicks of this deck is the ability to special summon back from your banish zone. And this card facilitates that as set up really, really well. So just having the extra body on the field when you go through your line is pretty helpful. And also being a level 2 helps with some of the awkward levels, because it's really easy to make a level 8 and really easy to make a level 11. But if you're trying to make like a 10 or something like that, you kind of need a different level range in there. And then we have 2 of the Hushed Psychic Minister. So this is our non-tuner extender. We can special summon it out of the hand if we control a Psychic. And it's also sort of a form of disruption where we can banish it and the Psychic from the grave to banish a monster on the field. And so that lets us, get rid of a card on our opponent's board, help breaks boards. So because of the points list update, and I had to adjust the number of cards in this deck, I had to take out some of the non-engine. I think I was main decking Cosmic Cyclone, and took those out and decided to play this guy, the Prototype Psychic Blaster. And I haven't played this guy up until now, but I think I really like it because basically what it allows you to do is you discard it to special a different Psychic out of your hand, and then over the course of your combo you can revive it. And it's another way to not have to normal summon Xiamen, and I really, really like that about it. And then it being a level 6 helps with the synchro summoning as well. It helps you make the level 9 Psychic Blaster Mark II, and then Virtual World Shen is one of our end board pieces we can make. So these guys are all extremely cheap, extremely low rarity. This is basically bulk that people do not care about out of Duelist Advance. So if you wanted to build a deck that uses these guys, they are very, 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 very strong. So that is the core of the deck, but we do have some hand traps. We've got Ghost Ogre, which these are 4 points apiece, and I feel pretty good about playing them over something like Effect Veiler. It's also a level 3 Psychic Tuner, which has synergy with the deck, but is also a really, really good hand trap in Genesys. And we've got Skullmeister. The main reason for Skullmeister is that DD Crow has now been given points. So DD Crow being 1 point is a little bit annoying when we want to play some other stuff. So we're putting this in here because he is free. And we still want to play some hand traps. It would probably be more beneficial to cut out one of the expensive extra deck boss monsters in order to play like a Nibiru or Fuelos. But this is also okay. This is fine. But that'll be a reoccurring theme where most of the best Genesys decks right now are playing most of their points into hand traps. And it is more valuable to have your points in cards like Fuelos and Nibiru, and in the low pointed board breakers like Dark Ruler No More and Ultimate Slayer and Darkhold. And the Fuelos helps you draw into those 1 point, 2 point board breakers, which helps you break boards going second. And this deck can probably be built to facilitate that, but some of the other decks we'll be taking a look at do that better. So on the spells, we have the Punk Jam Extreme Session. This is part of our Punk package that lets us draw cards, which is pretty nice. We have the Parallel Teleport, which lets us pay life to special a Psychic from our deck or extra deck. So if we needed to, if we had been heavily interrupted during our combo and we just need a body to kind of finish a powerful Synchro Summon and do a push, we can take like a ton of life point damage to get like a really big guy out of the extra deck and Synchro up from there. So this is a pretty cool card, and it is searchable off of the Mind Procedure guy. And I was only playing one of these, and I upped it to 2 because in one of the earlier iterations of this deck, I was actually playing one Called by the Grave in here because the points were so generous. But since then, the points have been restricted enough to where I can't really get away with that. So I'm playing 2 Teleport Fusion now, and this is basically a quick play Miracle Fusion for a Psychic Fusion. And we have 2 different ones that we play. So this card is insane, but you want to make sure you have the setup for it, and you can activate this like on your opponent's turn, or you can activate it on your turn as part of your end board. But I usually set it and activate it on my opponent's turn to get the one of the 2 fusion monsters as part of my end board as soon as my opponent starts playing. We are main decking the Dark Ruler No More. This is 2 points now instead of 1, which does matter a lot. It means that in certain instances, you could have a playset of this and a playset of another 1 point non-engine card, but now this occupies both of those slots essentially. But I still think it's worth playing to have an answer to going second. And if you go second, you dark roll your opponent's board, it resolves, and you build your full board, you're probably going to win the game. And then we have the Punk Trap as well, the Dangerous Gabu, to round that out. On the extra deck, we have two of the Silent Psychic Magician. So I really love this guy. He's a level 5 Psychic Synchro tuner that lets you summon a guy back from Banish. And so if you're able to make this guy, you can bring back one of the materials and go straight into like Shen Shen or the Psychic Blaster Mark II. Really, really powerful. And good in the grind game as well. That's why we play the second one, to where if you have a lot of cards in your Banish or your board has been broken and it's turn 3 and beyond, you can revive one of those guys and continue to play. We're playing one of the Serene Psychic Sorceress. So this one is lets us search teleport spell as well, and it is a pseudo board breaker because when it hits the graveyard, you can bounce cards in your opponent's field. So it's pretty strong for that reason. It's a level 6. The other level 6 we play is the Hyper Psychic Riser. Monsters that have more attack than him can activate their effects. So it can be like a pseudo floodgate, but it can also inhibit yourself. So I'm kind of thinking about cutting this guy, but he still seems like an option to go into as a level 6. The only level 7 we have is a Psy-Frame Lord Zeta. And then we move on to 8s. We have, actually the one 8 we have is Crossmind Archfiend. This guy is pretty strong and can also revive a guy from Banish, which helps us make our level 11s, which are the real backbone of this deck. And we have the level 9s, which is the Psychic Blaster Mark II and the Shen Shen. So we all know what Shen Shen does. It's like Macrocosmos on legs. But Psychic Blaster Mark, this guy lets you extend by summoning back a guy from Banish, and it also lets you banish a guy from your graveyard and your opponent's field. So it's a quick effect banish basically from your opponent's field, which is crazy strong. And then if you want, over a course of multiple turns, you can kind of cafeteria pick which monsters you want to summon back from your grave by banishing them for that effect and then bringing them back later. So this guy's really, really cool. I like him a lot. And then we have the Punk Jam Dragon Drive, which we always play as part of our combo, and the Punk Amazing Dragon. And I guess I'll go ahead and show off the Punk Jam Fever right now. So we usually go through Jam Dragon Drive as our first level 8 synchro. Lets us search the field spell, and we continue our combo, and we eventually overlay for Jam Fever as part of the end board. And I rarely make Amazing Dragon, I'll be honest with you, but it is a nice option to go into. Not pictured here is Jirai, the Cursed Thunder God. We play that guy as a level 11 along with Psychic and Punisher. So the two level 11s that we should have as part of the end board is Pep and the Jirai. Jirai allowing you to gain life every time your opponent activates a card, and then pay 1,500 to destroy all monsters on your opponent's side of the field. And then the Psychic and Punisher probably needs no introduction. He's a towers as long as you have less life than your opponent, and he is very, very hard for a lot of decks to out. And naturally, you pay life over the course of your combo to get to your end board, and so a lot of decks just do not have an out to this guy unless they are maining a kaiju or something like that. And so sometimes it's like having to crash somebody into this guy to get your opponent gets their life lower than him, and then activating Ultimate Slayer to shuffle him back, or they side deck a kaiju and are lucky enough to draw it. But other than that, this guy wins games on his own a lot of the times if he sticks on the board. And making a level 11 is pretty easy in this deck, as we saw. So if we open the Prototype Psychic Blaster and Z-Yamen, or the Serene Psychic Girl and Z-Yamen, then we should be able to do a full combo that ends on the Jam Fever plus Pep plus Duration, and like maybe the Trap set or something, and that's pretty strong. We definitely would have the Teleport Fusion set, though, to be able to go into one of these guys, and both of them are absolutely insane. The Absolute Axon Kicker wins the game on its own as well. Both these guys are crazy. So that's it for the extra deck. Sorry, I don't have the Duration right in front of me, but that we do play it. Side deck for this one is kind of open to interpretation, but I will at least talk about it. So we're playing 3 Kaijus. We're playing a package of 2 Dark Hole and 1 Illusion Gate. I would play multiple Illusion Gates, but I don't own multiple copies of it. So it's 1 Illusion Gate, 2 Dark Hole, 3 Hate Shrunade, because That is, we play that over Twin Twisters because we don't want to discard a card, and if it is a trap that can be activated, then getting those set cards off our opponent's board is pretty good, especially if it is something that would otherwise negate a board breaker like Dark Ruler No More. And on that note, we are playing a counter trap of our own. We're playing Manadium Reframing, which is a Omni Negate counter trap if you control a Synchro monster. So we use this like if we are going first in game 3, and we know our opponent is going to be on board breakers like Dark Ruler No More and Ultimate Slayer, etc. It gives us insulation for cards like that. And unfortunately, we have to hard draw it because the only way to make Vsauce Aramatara is with a light monster. So we can't search for this card, but if we just side deck all 3 in there, we're likely to see it over the course of the combo. And then Gravity Collapse as well, where we can send a Synchro monster to the graveyard to negate a summon. It's like a worse Solemn Judgment. So that's what we're considering for the side deck for this. And yeah, that is it for the Punk Psychic deck. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next one.